Hello and welcome back to the Crusades of the Purple Knight. This is episode 29 and it's coming to you from the Temple of Vol, the Desecrated Temple of Vol in the Orchard of the Macabre, the Necropolis. Quite the bleak landscape, I think you'll agree. Rain falling steadily. Actually, I'm not going to complain about rainfall here in the UK because I've been following on the news, as I'm sure many of you have, the heat wave in the rest of Europe, 40 plus degrees. Now, that does not sound like fun times at all. I don't know about you folks, I've only ever once experienced that in my lifetime. It was a family holiday in the south of France, the Pyrenees. And I can remember even the wind blowing up from Africa. The wind was warm, there was no relief whatever you did apart from throwing yourself in the lake, which we did at regular intervals. So yeah, every sympathy for those of you who are having to brave those temperatures. That's a shocker. And the fires that are following, that's pretty rough too. I'm going to start with an apology. The sound in the last one was abysmal, wasn't it? So really sorry about that. The game sound for some reason completely drowned my voice out. Some of you might regard that as a bonus, but I can assure you it wasn't intentional. Wagon, I think you mentioned that you've heard it, getting progressively worse over the past few episodes. So again, sorry for that. I've done some testing earlier today. I've dropped the sound on both my PC and the game right down to the bare minimum, and hopefully I did it with my Fools, the caster druid, because he has all sorts of lightning and this and that effect. So I thought if I can hear myself over his racket, then I must be doing something right. So if it isn't any better this time, well, I guess I'll see. If it's not any better this time, you won't get a recording because I just won't post it. So if you do see this, then it's that I've deemed it to be an improvement on what happened last time. I'm going to use this as well as the closing one of this, because as you can see we're almost at the cap here, and I won't be doing anything at the cap itself because I would love to, honestly I would, and see how the build would perform end game, but for that you need legendary gear, and I would have to mess about farming and all that kind of thing, and it's just not worth it, I don't think, for one extra video at the end. Also, I think honestly, if I was trying to do something like this to be to perform decently in endgame, it would have to be one of these more melee focused and just drop the DC thing altogether, any spells with DCs, and just focus entirely on stuff without. And I suppose we can include Greater Shout in that at the moment, because it still seems to be broken, and no matter how low your DC is, I mean, look at this, it's hardly prodigious, is it? 57 in late epic, and it seems to be landing on everything. So note to self, and note to you folks as well, that one doesn't seem to allow a save at the moment for the opponents, so happy days on that. I suppose you could say it's supposed to do a stun, a helpless stun, and doesn't. So maybe that's equalising the field a little bit. True to form, I messed up and forgot to do the Lords of Dust chain back when I should have done, around level 20, 21. So when I went to try and collect the sagas, obviously I couldn't. So that's another reason why we've ended up with so much more experience. I had to go back and do that full chain. So as well as the What Goes Up, the concluding quest in the Stormhorns, we've had to do the 4 Lords of Dust, and then I took the 5 Eveningstar sagas, and with this little 10% learning bonus from the daily dice thing that we got, we are almost at the cap. This one and probably one more will get us there. Oh yeah, I did die twice in what goes up. Probably not where you're thinking. You're probably thinking at the end with the constantly respawning opponents. We actually did very well there, leaning heavily on the melee side of things for the damage, instead of using spells for it, and just using the spells to keep the buffs up, the defensive and attacking buffs. Where I died, I think there was a red crown harpy, and before I could get close to it, it was surrounded by other stuff as well. I think it was that was giving me some kind of a stun and a helpless, and there was nothing I could do. It happened twice in quick succession. Luckily, there was a resurrection shrine just round the corner from where it happened, so I was able to continue and finish. I was actually very pleased with how we did at the end. You know, the thing with the pillars and all that. Just took it steady and eliminated each group as I found them, and yeah, never in any real danger there, because the lion's share of my damage was coming from the melee side, so spell point free. I've had times there with casters where I've run out of mana, and that's just been sort of game over time. I think that's about it for the waffle. We'll do a bit of an end, a bit of a summing up after we've done the quest, hopefully. Well, we'll sum up even if we go in here and die horribly, we'll still do a summing up. So, this is one of two that I can do reasonably well on my own. The other two in this orchard have fairly unfriendly anti-solo mechanics, so I don't tend to do those when questing alone. One of them is a sort of kill two things at the same time, and the two things are a bit apart from each other, and you only get a very small window of opportunity to do that in. And the second one requires, I think, 5 runes to be activated, again quite close to each other. I have heard that one person's been able to go around and do it all without hirelings, but I think you need to be quite quick on the draw for that, and I don't think messing about with something like that's going to make for a particularly decent recording. So now the narrator here is quite quiet even in my ears, so I'm hoping that's the same for you folks. Let's get some. Now there's a whole load of traps, aren't there, on both of these sides, I think.
The only way ahead is down into the stagnant water.
So into the stagnant water we go, and immediately we go the wrong way. I think, as I mentioned before, this is a relatively new chain for me. I'd not given it too much playtime because oh crud! Because of the anti-solo things. I'd read a bit of a summary on it in the forums that said you know, stuff to that effect, and my first attempts were pretty poor, to say the least. So until the bear party became a thing and I was able to go in with it was all who showed me how to get around, because some of the quests are a little bit like the Desert Sands but not quite as bad. Some of them can be a little bit confusing to reach as well. I remember being stuck down in one of the ditches in the middle of the wilderness area. I just spat my dummy out, said, "Right, that's it. No, I'm recalling. That's it." And all's like, "No, no, I'll come and get you. I'll come and get you." Just completely lost my rag with it, wandering around lost.
You glimpse a light down at the very end of the darkened hallway.
Okay, now there's traps there as well, aren't there? Are you impressed? I'm remembering my boosts in this one. Something behind us as well, isn't there? Now they're dispelling our spells as well, aren't they, the buggers? Thankfully we're not susceptible to this quelling effect. That's one saving grace.
These keys will open the way to the lower catacombs.
That's something else I didn't realise until recently. Somebody explained to me that it's only the divines that are susceptible to that. I think, well, I'm pretty sure my druid is classed as a divine, and that's why I've had such trouble with them in the past. These quell. There's one in the in that new chain, isn't there? The Morgrave quad. Is it the Army of Eternal Night? There's a quell in there, isn't there, towards the end? Just about every battle we've come to, I have triggered a boost, or I'm healing some of these. Or is it the fire that's healing them? That's not good, is it? Right, so what... oh, just try and deal with this. Are we healing him as well? No, he's just got a truckload of health. Wow. Okay. How much health does he actually have? I can't see, can I? This is embarrassing. I wonder if he is he dispelling some of my buffs, or is he trying to quell me there? I don't know. Anyway, we never looked like dying ourselves, so I'll take that as a plus. Now we've got this symbol of pain again. Now, what did you guys tell me to do about this? Dispel magic, wasn't it? But I'm going to lose all my buffs if I do that. -4 on attack rolls, skill checks and save. That's crap, isn't it? I think somebody else said greater resto. I can't cast. I don't even have a scroll for that. Let's test it just out of interest. We can always do the buffs again, can't we? I'm guessing we've lost some buffs there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep going until. I think. Oh no, there's still heroism there. For some reason, heroism isn't going, but everything else has gone, and that's still there. The symbol of pain, and this is greater dispel magic. Maybe I'm just not high enough, like, because there's some kind of a check, isn't there? A caster level check. But I'm close to max level, so anyway, I can't get rid of the damn thing. And now I guess we have to rebuff. By now I guess you'll at least have some kind of impression of whether or not the sound is acceptable. It's only very faint in my ears, the casting of a spell and that kind of thing, so hopefully it's the same for you folks.
Lost in prayer, the High Priestess kneels before the altar.
Oh, where did you come from? I think we may have actually failed on a greater shout there. Or maybe I just didn't catch him in the AoE, more likely. Are you guys coming through? Oh, that's more like it. Why didn't I do that earlier? I think those quell type things, you can't do that, can you? So I'll use that as my excuse. Yeah, I think one... Oh, is he immune, that Death Knight thing? He might be, might he? And some of these might be healed, might they, by negative. Now let's make sure we keep these buffs up. Got to love the Finger of Death. This has definitely been the best quest so far for using the, remembering to use the boosts. Oh hell. Okay. Well, that didn't work either, did it? So maybe not. Maybe the... Oh no, it worked on the back one. Perhaps the front one was immune somehow. I think it just failed. So maybe it's not bugged. I can hear... Can I hear a Reaper? I thought I could. Maybe not. Oh, it's a weep I could hear. Oh, major lag. Oof! Oh god! Sorry about that. No, I can't tell. You know this, oh, we've got the symbol of pain again. I can't tell, this Eldritch Knight thing, you know, the big, oh, who's doing that? Is it somebody invisible? I was gonna say I can't, oh. I can't tell when that big thing's gone off. The thing when we have a chance to rest, I'll show it. It's the part of the. Thanks for waiting obligingly, minions. Right, have we all done now? Are we finished? No invisible skeletons in the closet. And that's a raid, so I'm not doing that. Where are we? Right, so this here, every five times we hit the Eldritch Strike, our sort of standard cleave in the Eldritch Knight tree, we activate this special boost, and Wagon's telling me it always goes off at a insignificant time when it, well, like wasted. I don't seem to see any. Maybe I'm just missing the indication when it goes off. We're looking for these special priestesses of Vol, aren't we? Is there one maybe lurking down here? No, I don't think there is. Nothing down there, is there? I've been neglecting my buffs as well. But survival-wise, we're looking good. The hold is still holding up, no pun intended, nicely. What's going? Is that the? We're back at the middle again, aren't we? Do you know I'm a muppet? So, are you really telling me we went all this way and we didn't? We didn't uncover any of these special rooms. Okay, I think that might be yeah, that's a special room. There's got to be one in there somewhere. Oh, that's nice, yes. All but one. I don't know if I think I might just be doing it to save the spell points. Oh, so the weep can't be held, okay. Just focusing more on the melee. It's working anyway. Apart from on the bosses, the melee is working nicely, so I don't see any reason not to stick with it. Apart from there, a nice little Tempest Tower. I tried to put one down there, I don't think it worked. That did though. That did though. Beautiful. Have some of that, people. If someone more observant than me tells me the mega buff went off in that little fight, I would consider that a good activation. Right, 2 left now. Might we find one lurking down here somewhere, perhaps? Oh, crud. Okay. Oh yes, just what we've always wanted. As Black Razor would say, a feast of souls.
They drove us out long ago, a voice whispers. Now we have returned.
Let's get these buffs back on, boy. We're flagging again with the buffs, aren't we? Where are all you lot coming from? My word. We did that one. Have we got the... We haven't even got the healing on. Considering that, we really are going well. We're at the... In fact, what level is the quest? The quest is a 31. So we're still 2 levels above us effective. And we're doing alright here. We're not sledgehammering everything, are we? But oh, that whole group seemed to save. Is that right? They didn't save against the shout, though, did they? Which is well, we can tell here, can't we? The shout is a 61, and the hold is a 69, so there's definitely something a bit weird about that. I have a feeling this might be the last room we need to go in here. Oh, bonus holds, we'll call them, the ones that you never saw. That makes up for all those beggars that saved. Nice. Okay, come to the altar. Are we anywhere near the altar? I think we are, aren't we? Can we just go? I wasn't sure whether that was a corpse or something waiting to... Right, okay, so let's make sure we have all our things about us here. Let's go with that. I think most of these are casters in here, aren't they? So probably won't matter, but anyway. 2 boosts.
The blood of Vol has returned to reclaim our temple. The High Priestess. Yet only the faithful can
I didn't think any of them would be able to be held, but I thought I'd try. That was the boosted what's it called? Negative energy burst, which is going to help us out again here. Nice, good stuff. So we've finished with a decent triumph there, I'm going to say. Things weren't working perfectly, but as you could see, 69 mass hold DC was enough to be decently effective. Certainly was a factor all the way through, and in situations, especially when you've got a couple of Reapers in the crowd, to just be able to hold them and chip away at them, so save some spell points as well. I don't think it ended up too bad. Let's just have a couple of words here then about the experience overall. Coming into it, this was the one I was, of the 3 we've done so far, the Warlock I was most confident with. I suppose you could say I was stepping gradually away from my comfort zone the longer we've gone on with the series. I hadn't planned to do more than one life. The plan was to video the Warlock one, which I knew a lot about because I'd played many racial past lives on my main character as an acid warlock, so I was just rehashing something I'd already done. The discovery thing was doing the tanky tree, which I'd never done before. Playing on your own as a warlock, you really want to be doing the damage dealing trees, the cookie cutter build, the 3941 in Soul Eater and Tainted Scholar, just for the damage side of things and the clearing of the packs of opponents on your own. But the tank tree I found a lot of fun. I mean, as long as you don't go crazy with the Reaper levels, because it doesn't have the damage to do those at any pace, it's basically unkillable unless you really do something silly, which I'm sure I will have done on occasion. And I think there is a video at the end to that series of me with 1 or 2 of the Bear Party doing the sort of tanking role in Legendary Reaper 6. Alright, there are people aplenty who can solo that content, but the thing was that neither my character nor any of theirs were capable of doing anything like that, and yet together we succeeded handily. So I regarded that as a big success. That was the Warlock. Then we had the Blightcaster. I knew the Druid class anyway, because my main character is one, and I've enjoyed that, and so it was a bit of a departure from what I knew, but not too much, and it was great discovering all the differences between that and the standard Druid. The biggest one for me was the Contagion area hold, the stun thing. That was great. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and following up with some kind of death dealing AoE like the Acid Well. And then this one, I really didn't know what to expect, because melee and me just don't tend to mix. So maybe it was destined to be this way, like a melee that you can, as we did at the very end there, suddenly transform back into a caster again, as and when it suits. to have the ranged options, I made extensive use of the Finger of Death, as you saw in that quest, just to pick things off from distance. Annoying little casters and ranged characters who tend to have low fortitude saves. I used the Thunderstroke and Iceberg as well in the same role. And yeah, to have the option, and we did it against the dragon as well, didn't we? Suddenly decided we were going to go ranged. I mean, had I kitted him out properly, because obviously a melee in robes, I mean, come on, just look at this. This is just appalling. Capped at 60 MRR and then the same in PRR. To be doing the later epics with that as a melee is not good. So maybe that went well actually with the mass hold strategy, because whilst ever things are held like that, they're obviously not hammering away at you, are they? Perhaps if I'd gone all out melee, obviously things would have been able to hit back a lot more than they did, and I would have been taking a lot of punishment. If I had it to do again, perhaps I would have taken the Master of Death earlier, even though it only really does an impact on this negative energy burst. I think that's enough. You saw there at the end when my bar was sort of going down a bit worryingly, one click on that and it was up. It can restore up to half the health, which is pretty decent, that. So I was glad that we invested in that, and also a substantial amount in the negative crit chance and healing amp that we got from the Pale Master tree. So I think it's been a great deal of fun. Would I recommend it to any of you considering for a wizard past life? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially if you just want a wizard life and you're more leaning towards melee. Perhaps you're not really one for the casters and all the different spells, and you get lost in all that and just want to swing a sword. Absolutely. I think I've said before, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, you could totally go through just with the defensive buffs and your healing aura and burst, ignoring completely all the offensive spells, and you could make a decent fist of it, in my opinion. I'm sure you could. Throw in the odd greater shout, because it seems to work whatever you do to try and make it not work, and I think the job would be a winner. So for those of you maybe who need a wizard past life for a completionist or something, and you're not looking forward to playing a caster, you really don't have to. The beauty of this seems to be that you can do with it whatever you want. I've gone towards enchantment. You could go towards offensive spell casting with evocation if you wanted, or you could dump the spell side of it completely, just go with the imbue and the buffs, and I'm sure that would be equally valid, and then focus maybe more on imbue dice in epic and stuff that doesn't have a save, like the Tempest and the primal spell-like abilities. What are they called? Shard Storm, which is great for this build because it would give also temporary hit point buffer. I mean, that was something nice here. We got this Mantle of Sound and Fury kept triggering this temporary hit point defense. That, coupled with the Death Aura, did very nicely for us. I'll just show you how the Epic Destinies ended up. I pretty much got everything we wanted to get. So we finally made it up the Draconic tree, got the third tier there. And now that was nice as well, because as well as the less cost for the spell casting, we've got triggering temporary hit points there. Awesome. And then the 3 imbue dice we finally got just in time for the last quest. It can be argued I should have gone for those earlier, but there were nice things in all trees. As I mentioned, I went in the Fate Singer first, deeper, because of the potential to help our mass hold that the build was kind of focused around. We've got enchant DCs, we've got spell pen in there, we've got more spell pen in here. If I remember to turn the mantle on, because you'll recall in one quest I ran it without the mantle. Well done me. So that's why I went in the Fate Singer. And also the two attacks, I got quite used to doing those. The sword sings on a short cooldown. You're kind of using that first one to build up the strength of this second one. Once you've got 3 charges loaded up, you can do a big booming cleave attack. And that was working nicely. I liked that. And then the Dreadnought tree, synergizing very well with a playstyle that uses plenty of action boosts. And when I decided to play properly, as in that last one, and trigger the boosts, we got 14 of them in all, plus the Reaper strike, although that wouldn't trigger these, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, on triggering a boost, we've got 3 more to all abilities. So just a nice synergy. 1 imbue dice and some more double strike. Nice things in the cores here. Not to mention melee power and hit points. So I saw that as a good. I think one of you recommended it anyway as a possible for our build. The big one I didn't use, not because I don't think it would have been any good. It would have been great, the primal. But we've used that in the last 2 lives. I wanted to explore something different, so that's what we've done. And I don't think any of these trees has been bad for us to be in at all. I think we did alright. The only limitation with not going primal and not having the evergreen would to be a bit more careful with the spell points. But my focus was on trying to make the melee side of it work. So I wasn't... maybe like you saw in that last quest, I went towards using especially the AoE spells, like when the shit hit the fan, for the want of a better expression. When we found ourselves in real trouble, sometimes I would do a hold followed by Tempest and Acid Well, and that thinned the field quite well, I thought. What else did I have noted down? I think that's about it on this live. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Want to thank you all for the many helpful comments and suggestions. Some of the stuff you must just be absolutely face palming, like when looking at the piles of what do you call them, XP stones in the inventory, and thinking, why on earth isn't he putting it in the bank? That kind of thing. But I've learnt loads from yourselves just by doing this, and for what it's worth, there are many other classes, it might surprise you to know, that I haven't played what I would call properly, so there could be some journeys of discovery there. For instance, one of you suggested a favoured soul. We might as well discuss what we could try next time around. One of you suggested a favoured soul because I think you're about to embark on one of those yourself. I cheated on that one. I was looking at it and thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? I don't have the gear for it, blah, blah. So my main character did the favoured soul life as an inquisitive thing. To be honest, it wasn't too bad, because at least with inquisitive he got a capstone, and on the favoured soul side there was the excellent heal there, so he was never going to be short of a heal or two. But I just, looking back on it, I mean, the things I did, I'm sure I wasn't on my own either. I was so used to Warlock that I think for some of the, like Barbarian, let's say, for instance, I just did, is it 9 Warlock and 11 Barbarian or something silly like that, just to get the past life. And I ended up with a completely balked character that just was totally down on power in going through Epic, and it was no fun at all. So contrast that with something like this, and this is without farming and all that for crazy good gear. We've just done it with what we had, and the vast majority of it is still heroic. In fact, apart from the epic zoom and this ring, oh, there's a level 20 crocodile tooth thing there. But aside from those, every piece he's wearing there is heroic. I'm not saying they're not good heroic gear, but this is like level 5 gear in some cases, 5, 7. That's the best. It's probably the best piece of gear in the game, in my opinion. That I still think they've made a mistake with that. That's grossly overpowered for a level 7 item. Plus 2 profane bonus on all spell DCs. I think that's a mistake. Even plus 1 profane would be very good, I think, at that level. But if they're going to leave it in, I will take advantage of it. Okay, what was I on? Oh yes, the possibles for next time. So yeah, Favoured Soul was definitely one. Favoured Soul Caster. With that in mind, I did actually find in the Lords of Dust chain, I think it was in the Spinner of Shadows I found this. You can allow me one XP stone. I think that's from today. Where is it? There, that thing. And I've locked it just so I wouldn't throw it away by mistake. It's not amazing, I don't think, but for a Favoured Soul, 97 on Fire and Light and 14 crit chance on the same. Not terrible, I don't think. Anyway, it's an option because I don't like farming, so we might use that. So what other possibles were mentioned? One of you mentioned half elf Stormsinger Bard. Now I have played a Stormsinger on my main character, done it properly, and thoroughly enjoyed it. So if you wanted to see that, purple doesn't have a Bard life, I'd be more than happy to have a go at that. Something else mentioned was the Artificer caster. Now Artificer, I've never had more than 2 levels just to get the rune arm and maybe a couple of ranged feats out of it for some hodgepodge inquisitive build I was doing at the time. So again, that would be a journey of discovery. The Stormsinger perhaps less so. I've done that, so I know what it can do. But some of these others, I'd be leaning quite heavily on you folks because I've never played them before, especially the Artificer. I've no idea there. I guess electric spell power. Now it might be interesting to do one of those for 2 reasons. They're bringing out this new epic tree. Is it mechanic something or other relating to Artificer anyway? I'm sitting in here using up the last bits of my potion, aren't I? I think I better recall. Yeah, so the new epic tree, that would probably, the amount of time it takes me to get up into epics, that would definitely be out by the time we got there, so we could try that. And the other thing is, I've been waffling that long, I've forgotten what's the second reason that we might like to do Artificer. It's completely deserted me. That was one anyway. But aside from, I mean, if anybody's got something they'd like to see, aside from the 3 we've done, I don't want to repeat. So no druid, no warlock, and no wizard. Aside from that, perhaps not sorcerer immediately after this one, because there'd be quite a lot of the same spells coming out there, wouldn't there? Although with a sorcerer you have it's been a while since I did a sorcerer. I did a warforged sorcerer on my main, so he could get the healing repair things. you have to specialize more with that, don't you? Is it those savant trees? So you have to go all out in one. Is it a bit like the alchemist? I think where you go more or less all out in one element, and you have a way to bypass opponents' resistance to that eventually. I think it's like that. So probably not that. But those are the three of the suggestions on the table anyway. Favoured Soul, Artificer, and Stormsinger Bard. If anybody has anything else they might like to see, leave me a comment in the comments, believe it or not, and I'll see what we come up with. Maybe I'll just do it at random. I think I'd prefer to do something I've never done before, because this has kind of been the shape of the series since the first one. So let's just have a look here. Just having a look now at the classes. When I say I haven't done, I mean I haven't done either in that style or not done properly. So Favoured Soul I haven't done properly because I've played it as a ranged character. So there's Artificer, Favoured Soul. Alchemist I did do as the Bombardier. That was great fun. I have done that one. Barbarian never done, but then healing's going to be a problem. The character's going to need to have some form of healing, isn't it, ideally? Cleric, I think I cheesed that as well. So, in fact, Cleric, how would you go about doing a Cleric? Would you do melee, or can they get by with the spells? I think they have fairly decent spells now. They've had a pass not so long since, haven't they, Clerics? So I would be open to a Cleric if... I think he does actually have a Cleric past life, but that was while he was a long time ago, when he was kind of a bank character, and for some reason the majority of the levels were in Cleric for whatever build I'd been following. But we certainly never played a proper Cleric. Fighter, again, he's not going to be able to heal himself, is he there? Monk, I think they can self-heal, can't they? I'd be open to that, but I gather it's quite a steep learning curve with the monk, and there are a lot of buttons to press, aren't there? And I prefer relatively few. I mean, if we look on here at the moment, aside from the buffs and all that, the things I'm using regularly, the 3 boosts I can get to, these 3 big spells here, those 5, and the whole of the bottom line, and that's the Finger of Death as well. So that's not too many keys. What is it in all? Let's call it 20 keys. I don't like to have any more than that to be pressing. And yeah, I'm getting the impression with the monk that you really need to be on the ball with all that kind of stuff. They do look quite cool. I mean, the speed is insane. I have to admit that looks fun. Paladin, I did, yeah, I cheated with Paladin as well. I did that as a ranged class. So I've never done a proper Paladin. Ranger, I have on my... I have an archer, a little halfling archer as another character. He's Ranger 20, so I know all about that. And I know it's a sucky class to level as a ranged. Rogue, I haven't. That's another one I must have done as a ranged thing using the Inquisitive thing. So again, I've not done anything as a proper rogue, so that's definitely on the table. Warlock we've already done. So maybe that's it. Rogue, Paladin, Monk, Favoured Soul, Cleric, Storm Singer. I won't say fighter or barbarian because there's no self-healing there, so I think that's going to be a problem. Artificer or alchemist. So there's loads to choose from. If anybody has a preference, just let me know in the comments. Otherwise, thanks again for the for all the comments and the suggestions. Some of them were really heartwarming. Well, in fact, most of them were either supportive and or very positive in nature. So I'm grateful to you all for that, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Look after yourselves, and until the next time, keep well.